Hey y'all, welcome back to Withers Bluff Ranch. I'm gonna be looking down at my notebook because I'm a cheater and I've got a list of things I want to talk about. So I'm sorry for the wind in advance. It's very windy today. Go figure. Uh, First off, we want to take you back to the beginning of our journey. So almost 4 years ago, I'd say at this point, um, we decided to sell our house back up in Illinois and figure out what we wanted to do as a change. Um, by selling our house, we knew we wanted to take whatever money we got out of that and put it forward towards something else. Which ultimately we bought our tiny house. It was a risky investment, I'd have to say, but it put a roof over our head without the worry of what's going to happen when we get somewhere and having to figure out how to put a roof over our head. So it gave us that ability to kind of think ahead, and that's the point of this video is planning, preparation. Where do you want to see yourself in a few years from now? That's kind of the whole goal of this video. So without further ado, buying our tiny house after we sold our house, it was a pretty easy process. We went with an Amish builder and we had it built out as a shell. And we're going to have an entire video about the tiny house itself later on. So I'm not going to go into deep detail about it, but the moral of the story is that we bought this house after selling ours to put a roof over our head. And that kind of started our journey. Um, we were moving states, so we didn't really know much about where we wanted to live, but we knew we wanted to live in Tennessee. So the searching for the land was a pretty difficult challenge. And as you'll see in some of these pictures that we'll have in this video of what we ultimately found, we didn't even know if that was really going to work out for us in the long run. We couldn't. It was all woods. It was grown up. It was hard to see. What could this place really be? But in reality, up to this point now, where we're at, we couldn't be happier. We leveled out the spots that needed leveled out. We're on a hill. We're definitely not in the cornfields of Illinois anymore. So it was a little different and challenging as far as the build process and everything else. Taming the wilderness, that was a tough challenge. We did a lot of it by hand. I had to thank my neighbors right here behind us, actually, that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we're at today. He brought over his tractor and he could outwork me 10 times over. I mean, he's that kind of guy. So we got the best neighbors we could ever dream of in this whole move. Very grateful for that. We're grateful for a lot of things, but that's one of the biggest things right there. We started out, we could access it from they call it Chert Road. I know a lot of people aren't familiar with that because I sure wasn't. I learned real quick what a chert road was compared to a dirt road. We could access the land from there, and then you had to come up the driveway after you cut it in because there was no getting up here otherwise. You had to walk up this hill to get up here to even see what was going on. And again, these pictures are kind of depicting what that looked like when we first bought the land. So we got a bulldozer, hired a guy out, and he leveled everything out and moved a lot of the stuff for us. But again, we're trying to do this cost effectively, and the way to do that is a lot of manual labor from yourself. So me and a chainsaw, along with help from family, friends, everything else, really got this land cleared to where it is today. So we couldn't be happier about that. The dirt work, it was tough. I didn't have to do much of that, but it was still tough. Where do you put things? That's the thing. You start out fresh, and I like to have this pre-plan in my mind, at least to a certain extent, of where are things going to be. And that was hard. That was a hard decision to make. But I think we're happy with where we stand right now. So there's been fun times along the way. We'll put in some photos here of some of the activities that we did. We love going to rodeos, tractor pulls. We love doing all those type of things that are fun. The kids enjoy it too. So we'll throw in some of those as well. The sunset pictures, it's just mind blowing. The stars, the way they look on a hill compared to being on the flat cornfield soil, it really just blows your mind, when you change an area of the country that you're not used to seeing. And I know we've had a lot of nights just enjoying bonfires out here and looking at the stars. So the first structure that we did, there'll probably be some more videos about that later on too. We got a carport. It was cheap. It was a structure, and when you're out here working and it's hot, it's sunny, everything else, and you have no relief. You'll see if you look in one of the pictures, you'll see a little like canopy that you take to the soccer games or whatever that we bought.
Tent,
yeah, just to get us some relief from the sun, basically. And then this structure went in, and man, was that a game changer! I tell you, it was worth the investment. We've slowly been transforming that into a barn, which I couldn't find anything on YouTube or anywhere else of anybody doing it the way that I did. I kind of did it pole barn style by adding some girds and stuff, and we'll go into that in more detail later. But you'll see that structure. It's been a nice structure to have, especially when you're trying to do construction on a tiny house and everything else, and having that extra space outside to store stuff. So, it was super exciting to get to that point. I mean, there was nothing out here, so it was good to have something there. So down in the trenches is what I labeled this next section. So this was some tough work, and thanks to my friend Trevor for coming out and his expertise on this equipment. I've ran equipment before, but when you're trying to make something the same depth up a hill, it becomes very, very challenging, and that's not something that I had experience in. So thank you, Trevor, for coming out here and helping me with that. We put in our own water line. We purchased the materials. We rented the excavator, and we ran our water line up. And we ran one over to the carport area, so we had access to water there. And that was the first thing. And you'll see the excitement on my dad's face when we got to that point and he released the water. I'll cut that in right here. And the septic, that was a whole nother thing. We thought, yeah, sure, we'll try it. Thanks to Trevor, we could dig a big hole. Anybody could dig a big hole, but digging a big hole and making it level on the bottom, there's a lot of things that you learn in these processes of building that, my goodness, I'm so thankful for him and him coming over here to help us out with that. So he helped us get the tank in. We purchased the tank, and at that time it was the height of COVID. And we had to buy this tank in another state and then bring it back down here, and we couldn't find all the parts. So this system that we put in has a big holding tank that runs into 3 channel chambers that you put in. Those have to be level, and we're talking a downhill grade. And a lot of these videos, you're not going to be able to see how hilly it is out here, but with this downhill grade, you had to make these level on that grade. So of course we ended up hiring that done because the math wasn't working out right. It was frustrating.
Yeah, we got halfway through it, and then we just decided might as well just spend the money, make it right.
It definitely. So that septic was a challenge for us, but it got in. We got it done. All the permitting for it, it's a done deal. So that was very nice to get done. Electric, whole nother story. So our great neighbors we were talking about, this is a story that I've told them already, so they're already well aware of it, is that I knew we had to come in from one side of the property or the other side, and coming in from their side was going to be easier and cheaper. And the only problem is there's a lot of pretty dogwood trees down here, and we're lucky to have a bunch of them on our property as well. I'm sure you'll see those over time too. But we had to go over his pasture, which is right behind us here, and his horses are in it and everything else. And they have one dogwood tree in the middle of their field, and guess where that power line needed to go? And the power company was like, well, we're going to have to top that tree if we're going to run it over here. Well, again, just to give how great a neighbors we've got over there, he was more than willing to do it. I went and helped him with his tractor, and we cut it down and got it acceptable for the power company. So it was a feat to get that done. But then we ran trenches all over the place, just wormholing, getting electric where we needed to get it. So that was a process as well. But all in the planning, we had it planned in other different ways, and where things are sitting now are not where we originally planned them to sit. It's hard to see when you got trees all in your way where things are going to be at. So Again, I apologize for the wind. I'm sure it's probably making a bunch of racket in this video, but we're just trying to make do at this point. The next part. This was a very stressful time, but we had faith and knew that this is the way it was supposed to be. And this was the transporting of our tiny house. So like we said, it was Amish built in Illinois, and it had to cross over 2 states because now obviously we're in Tennessee. And some of these roads that we live off of, we like living in the country. We've always loved living in the country. And some of these roads are roads that I had never seen up in Illinois, even in the really backcountry areas. Just very narrow chert roads. And so we had this loaded up on a truck, and they were pulling behind it, and very, very narrowly.
Like a semi truck.
Yeah, escaping trees and getting through tight pinch points and so on. So I've got a few pictures of that progress, and that was a stressful day. But I tell you what, by the end of it, once we got it up here and we had to do concrete footers underneath it. Once we got it up here and got it in place, that was a sight that we had been waiting to see for years on end. So I know you want to talk about, which is the chicks and the quail, and how we weren't prepared at all for these, and how all that worked out. So
we decided we were going to get chickens. We only planned for a few, so we ended up building a chicken tractor. Tractor, what it is, the structure, it's not really a tractor. So it's just like a portable cage, I guess.
Yeah, just basically a wood frame, and people build them different ways. We didn't know what we were doing when we built ours, but it worked out. So
yeah.
But it's
Kinda
just
heavy.
it's heavy. It's got wire around it to just contain them, and it's an open floor so that they can graze on the ground. And basically the idea is you move those every day, depending on how many chickens you've got and how fast they go through that grass. So it was easy way to build quickly a containment system for them, because we do have predators out here. We're in the middle of the woods, and there's predators everywhere, which we've got sad stories about that too. We won't go into that on this video, but
yeah. So we started off with chickens, and then we also, at the same time, we got about 40 quail.
They were Coturnix quail.
Yeah. And we were given them, and we were given a cage for them. But out here we were not prepared for them, so we did not have a way to protect them from the predators and everything like that. So we did happen to lose a few, but then we decided we just were not ready for it. So we decided that we would, put them in our freezer. We ate a few and gave away a couple to some friends. They taste really good.
And just on another note too, we're going to get more quail because they were really fun and they're really simple. If you build up the cage right and get everything set up right, and the eggs, they're great.
They're delicious.
I might even throw in a picture of when we bought these quail egg scissors that I was just so amazed by. Just a triangular blade that you cut the top of the egg off, because those quail eggs don't crack like chicken eggs. So
they're super tough.
Yeah.
So we love our chickens. We have also tried to buy some too from Tractor Supply. We ended up getting a Predator, getting 3 of those. So we do have one left. We call her Ninja. She lived in our house for a while. But we are so thankful for what we have given, and can't wait to grow more.
Yeah, we've learned a lot with these, and we've always had respect for these animals. They're providing food for us, so we want to take care of them. And it's just this whole planning and preparation thing. I just felt like every time we got something, so our chickens, our quail, we weren't ready for those, but we made do. And when we knew that we were not able to protect them, or we had to make that decision real quick of, all right, what are we going to do? Because we can't put them out there at risk for raccoons or whatever else wants to come eat them, because they're they're here for us, not for the predators that are trying to get them. We've had issues with owls and chickens. We've had issues with all kinds of things. So that leads to the last animals that we got, which I'm sure you saw in our first video, which was the goats, Tater and Bullet. So we put a lot of preparation in real quick when that came up. We were not ready for these either. But Bryson, it was his birthday, and we gave him a choice. Do you want toys that are going to be disposable and break and everything else, or do you want to invest in getting goats? So he chose to go the goat route, and my birthday's thereafter. But so anyway, that's why I named Tater, and I like the country sounding names, so I went with Tater, and he chose Bullet and Bullet's name. So anyway, with those, we built this big goat house. We lock them up every single night. They've got a little bit of grazing land, and we plan in the very near future to get us a Premier One fence, which is not sponsored. If you want to, just let me know. But we're planning to get one of the Premier One fences that we can have them graze openly, and we may or may not have surprises later this year planned. We'll have to see how that works out, because we'd be ready for that one. But anyway, so what we wanted to kind of do, guys, is kind of give you our story, why we are where we are, why we're doing what we're doing, and it's all about this providing for ourselves. And I think a lot of people during COVID and here recently have noticed that stores are stores. They're not guaranteed to have what you want when you want it. We went through toilet paper stuff. We went through all kinds of different things during COVID that people were like, I don't know what to do. So our whole goal was a little bit of self-preservation. And here on this channel, over the next few years, we're really hoping to show you a lot. And we're not experts in this at all. We've learned all of our stuff from friends, close friends of ours, and or the same way that you're doing it right here, right now. And all of it may not be the greatest of tips and advice, but a lot of us learn the hard way. Especially me. I tend to do something wrong the first time and then know how to do it right the second time. So it's just one of those things. We're here to learn ourselves. So any tips or tricks that you guys want to have down in the comments of things that we ever say or do, we're not perfect. We're looking for our guidance from God and how he wants us to live our life and what animals he wants us to get in the near future, what's going to provide for us best, what's going to help our neighbors out the most and providing for them as well. That's just what we're here to do. So we've got neighbors surrounding us that have helped us in so many different ways, and I can't thank everybody enough for the progress that we've been able to make. Because without them, it would not have been that smooth. Family coming down here, helping out on the drop of a hat, knowing that we need their help. So many
down trees.
Yeah.
I mean, we had so much help from family.
Yeah. We have somebody in our family that knows his way around a chainsaw, and we were grateful for him because we had a couple big poplar trees that were right in the way that we needed down, and he made it look easy. I mean, you could have put a target on the ground and boom, hit it, nailed it right on. So we're not perfect by any means, and we don't claim to be. We're just out here trying to live the best life we can and give everything back to God that he's provided to us, and teach our kids the way of life that we want them to know, and be kind and courteous to other people, always be helpful. And that was the main goal of this video. So we'll go show you what the chicken coop looks like now. I've also got a before and after. This chicken coop, we didn't even touch on this. Back to that. We got it for free. Somebody that I work with, I work a full-time job. They were like, you need a chicken coop? I got one. All you got to do is drive and get it. Now, it was like an hour away, I think, somewhere in there. So we used the neighbor's trailer. Again, neighbors are there for you. And we took it over there. We loaded it up. We brought it back to the house. It wasn't in terrible shape, but it wasn't in the greatest of shape. But guess what? It works perfectly fine for these chickens. And we used a lot of repurposed stuff to get it back up and running again. And it works out great. We'll have, we'll do updates and make things better as we go along. But a lot of this stuff that you'll see around here, a lot of it's repurposed material. A lot of it's stuff that's either going to last a long time. If we buy it new, I want it to last. I don't want it to degrade so quickly that we got to fix it again already. So I'm trying to build all these different structures and do all these different things. And it's hard work. So, well, without further ado, we'll show you the chicken coop. We'll show you the goat house. We'll show you that old chicken tractor. We'll show you all those things within this video, whether it's pictures we've already taken, or whether it's a video from right now. So stay tuned. Let's go over and check that out. All right, guys. So this is our chicken coop. Right now it's winterized, so we've got this panel here, this panel up here, and several panels on there right now, and even on the bottom, which aren't color matched yet. Don't judge us, because it was kind of a quick jump. We weren't ready. That's the whole point of this video, is you just got to improvise sometimes. So anyway, it's I'll turn you around where you can see it a little bit better. So again, winterization panel 1, 2, 3, and then we've got these across the bottom just as a wind block for them. I won't show you inside right now. This is just more of an outside kind of video. We got the run, which again was basically all repurposed materials. That's a screen door we bought from Lowe's. We were going to originally put it on the house, decided we didn't like it, and thought, oh, hey, that'd be a perfect thing for the chicken coop. So we cut it down a little bit to fit, and works perfect. You'll see some of these roosters are outside of the coop right now. We got way too many roosters, so we need to get those numbers down and put those in the freezer at some point soon. It's just kind of hard to do when you enjoy having this many chickens. But this is what the run is. Again, it's all pretty much repurposed posts and everything else. Now, these guys over here, that's Chip and Thunder. Those are the neighbor sources. And you may ask, why do you have your feed in a dog crate and a metal can? Well, Chip here, we love Chip, but he likes to come over and visit sometimes. And one day he took that can and remember, we live on a hill now, proceeded to roll this can all the way down the hill trying to get into the feed that was inside of that. We also used to have horse treats. We're trying to, in an effort to save the fence and everything else over here, we're not giving them horse treats anymore. So that may be partially our fault. Again, we live and we learn, right? So anyway, that is why our chicken feed is kept in that container. Now, a lot of you might also say, well, what kind of chicken feed do you have? Well, news to everybody. This chicken feed is the same chicken feed that was just talked about that makes chickens not lay eggs anymore from Tractor Supply. Now, I can't speak to that, 100% myself. I can say that we have not had an issue with our chickens in this feed. So, see, this is a little old here, broken. Could use some fixing, but hey, it still works. The stick, when you have right now 5 and 7 year old, and you have carabiners places, sometimes those carabiners don't get returned where they're supposed to be. But that's all part of the learning process, and they know that we need to get things secure. So right now we're using the stick. But I hope you like the tour of our chicken coop. All right, and here is, as promised, the goat area with the huge goat house, and I will explain that a little bit too as we go through here and look at things. So this gate, thanks Dad, works great. I know you're going to be watching this YouTube video, and we're going to also feed the goats while we're out here, so you get to see that process as well. Hi guys, are you ready for some food? Huh? So the part that Marty's at right now is not 100% finished, but I'm going to say Marty did that all herself. So obviously you can look at all kinds of different, builds and everything else and get ideas. This works great. We've got a little feed trough at the bottom where we give them some pellets from time to time or some treats, which we keep right where Marty's going right now. We don't have the top built for this yet. We're waiting for that perfect piece of scrap material before we do that. But we'll put in their feed just like that, and they love that. And we've got their water bucket hanging right next to it. And this goat house, the reason it is the size that it is, you can see it's not small. Underneath that is some pallets that we got for free as a subfloor, and then we put plywood on top of those pallets to strengthen that up a little bit and just give them some shelter. Now, we only have 2 goats right now. Will that change? You'll have to stick around and see. Maybe we built this bigger for a reason. I'm going to leave that to your imaginations. So inside, we've just got a mixture of wood chips and straw in there for them just to stay dry and warm. We've got a metal tin roof. I left it vented intentionally this way for the summertime to let airflow in and out of that so that it doesn't just turn into a big hot box. We may do some modifications to this later too. The door, again, we had some scrap 2x4s that we used in this build, and we can frame out the door. And again, a piece of T11 siding to complement. Also in the goat area, we have this spool. Again, got that for free with the pallets. It's nice for them to have something to jump on and play around on. Another big thing that they really like is right behind me here, which is a simple post. Again, thanks, Dad. Here's what your post is doing right now. We've got an old boot brush that fell apart, and goats love to use these brushes to rub their horns against. They like brushing their fur on their head, all kinds of different things. They have a lot of fun with these brushes. And we also had an extra one over here by Bullet that didn't really go on that pole, so we put it up against their building to where if they want to rub across it and brush themselves, just as a little activity. This goat thing is very, very new for us. And as we said, we don't know everything. We're here to learn as well. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned and stick with. But for now, this has been Withers Bluff Ranch. Y'all come back now, you hear?